Hey guys, Ash again with Flight Sim Reviews, and we are still looking at the Eaglesoft Citation X 2.0 for FSX. And today, let's go ahead and take a look at the cockpit, the virtual and the 2D cockpit, and I will run you through really quick just a basic startup of it. So if you're not accustomed to payware aircraft or add-on aircraft that are quite a bit deeper than FSX's standard fare, hopefully this will give you a pretty nice intro to it. I'm going to go ahead and pause my Track IR. I use a Track IR 5 in case you're wondering to smoothly look around the cockpit. I feel it's a must-have, but that will have to be saved for a later review. I'm going to go ahead and pause it and just use my joystick. So we're going to go ahead and hit the red knob. That's going to remove the yokes out of the way. Okay, go ahead and flip on the battery switches. There's two main batteries in the Citation X. They are obviously going to be discharging since all the, clearly the avionics are up, the radio stack is on, and quite a bit of other stuff is draining the batteries right now. So what you want to do is you want to go over and start the auxiliary power unit. It's a small turbine that actually turns a generator to develop electricity to power the aircraft. So while that's coming up to speed, you can see there's some indications over here that it's ginning up. We're going to go ahead and usually have to wait 1 minute. The airlines want you to wait a minute or two before you do this, but I'm not paying for the repair costs on this airplane, so we're going to go ahead and do it. You flip this up and that bleed air comes off of the APU to start the main engines of this aircraft. So we're going to come over here. We're going to turn on the glass cockpit. Not all the way, just so we can get our engine management gauges in the middle. We're going to leave the main two PFDs turned off for the time being, just because we're in engine start. And you do this because you don't want any adverse voltage spikes into the avionics. Whether you're starting a Cessna or a jumbo jet, you want a steady flow of electricity into the electronics from the electrical system, and starting engines, etc., can cause massive voltage spikes and actually damage thousands of dollars worth of equipment. So you always leave most of it off until the engines are on and stabilized. So we're going to go over and we're going to start the engine start sequence. So we're going to come over here and you have engine start switches right here. And so we're going to go ahead and hit the left-hand engine start. Confirm that it's starting up. We have turbine percentage. So we're going to go down to the cockpit again because I'm not using my Track IR. And as that left engine is coming up, we're going to introduce fuel to it by taking the throttle out of the cutoff position and into the idle position. And you're going to see the intake turbine temperature in Celsius come up, and you want to watch that it doesn't exceed that red arrow, as that's what we consider a hot start, and that will instantly damage the engine permanently. If you do that in a real aircraft, you get to pay to replace the engine. If you were starting the engine in a real Citation, you would be sitting with your hand on the cutoff switch watching that intake turbine temperature to make sure it stays within range. So we're going to go back and we're going to start the other engine. We can actually do it from here without having to go back into the virtual cockpit. And we want to watch that the parameters are stabilized right here. So it's telling me that the cross tie between the two electrical buses is closed. It does that because that's how it feeds power from the APU and the Citation. So we're going to wait until this right-hand engine is started up. And again, we're going to wait until about 15 here. And we're going to go ahead and open the fuel to that turbine. And you see the percentages are going to come up, and then once it catches, you're going to get a large jump in intake turbine temperature. And again, it's going to go up, monitor that it doesn't exceed the red line, and come back down. And that's engine started. You're going to come into the virtual cockpit if that's what you use, or you can do it from this view. I prefer the virtual cockpit. Panorama lets us see a little more for this video. We're going to go up and just make sure that we open up the cross tie and make sure that the generators are on. And they are. If they weren't, you would have a warning in this field here on the center PFD. At this point, we can go ahead and turn on the rest of the avionics, as there won't be any power spikes, as now everything's up and stabilized. We can go ahead and shut down the APU at this point by holding this switch to negative, and you can watch the parameters that it's coming down out of its state. So that's a very basic engine start. We're not going to get into any of the navigation yet, but you can see for yourself how much more is involved than, let's say, Ctrl+E to start a standard FSX aircraft. If this was real life, we would have turned on the beacon to signal the ground crew that the engines were being started, but since we're in a sim, I think we're safe. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you watch for more flight sim reviews. Thanks.